School is in session for the first job program in the Rockford area designed to create more jobs in clean energy.
WIFR News reporter Sydney Stoffregan finds out more about the program and what skills can lead to a career in this fast-growing industry.
There are 13 hub sites throughout Illinois that prepare workers for entry-level clean energy jobs. Here in Rockford, one site takes students through all things solar.
This is really good for our city and for our people.
Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara sees a green future for the Forest City with the launch of a workforce hub created by the Illinois Climate and Equitable Jobs Act.
We know so many people in our community want to improve themselves, but they're also helping improve the lives of the littlest Rockfordians, their own kids.
Senyo Adore, the CEO of Cess Energy Eco Solutions Enterprise, led Monday's class of 10.
It gives us a better opportunity for return on investment, and I think on our kind of greatest natural resource here, which is people.
Students will learn about solar energy components from design to construction and maintenance.
We can see folks that can enter industry in the way of installers. They can be salespeople. There's even folks that have logistics companies.
Zion West Enterprise is one of several local partners adding fuel to the energy initiative. CEO Marvin Hightower explains the 12-week program eliminates employment barriers, from transportation issues to reintegration after prison.
Creates an atmosphere where a person can thrive and not be hindered by childcare, not being able to go to class and worry about bills.
Darian Spates is a single dad hoping to change his family's life for the better.
I'm just really eager just to learn the trade in general. I believe that the future is heading towards that direction, and I would like to be a part of it.
Adore tells me there's a new program in the works which will help contractors make the switch to clean energy.
Thank you, Sydney. There's no set date for the next session, but leaders are hopeful it will take place in the near future. For more information or to sign up, you can visit WIFR.com.